Hey, wow, activity. Eric, Quinn, you was viewing before I casted. Hello there, good day. Tuesday, 27th August, CE. Good day, blessings. Are you here for part two? I do hope so, because that's what we're doing. We'll let the notifications drop in for you to pick up. I'm not putting any adverts on this. We're not making any sponsorship reference the commercial realm. Now, when YouTube went and allowed channels to put adverts on their videos, what I noticed is you don't get recommended in the playlist, and the algorithms only support or look after the channels with adverts. So if you put a video out which is good quality, hard hitting, controversial, it will not do very well, it seems, if you don't put any adverts on. I've tested this out. So with these, this is part two of two, and there are 10 more pages for me to read of this Bible study Decoded, which is based upon Caesar's Messiah. That is a scholar study by Joseph Atwill and subsequent other scholars. So I noticed that since yesterday, we're not in 24 hours since the first cast, part one of this Bible Decoded output for you, and it's at 140 views thereabouts. I'd like to appeal to you scribes, and like you to share these videos, because I haven't put any adverts on. YouTube will make sure that they don't get seen, they don't get recommended, and they don't get shared. So if you could please, if you are finding this insightful, enlightening, entertaining, or all of the above, then I would appeal from me in the heart to you, a lot of good scribes out there and tribes. I need this to go far and wide. I want to open this up for a full international debate. I will put this out there, as my presentation, but not my. I can't, one man can't do all of this work. It's beyond comprehension, let alone to actually be able to this way, on the continuum. So I'm gonna say thank you for joining me. Hello, happy Tuesday. Sorry about last night. I was rather drained, if I'm honest. It wasn't the video that drained me. I think it was more so the heat, travelling 400 and something kilometres through villages, having to slow down to 50 km, back up to 70, maximum speeds 110 km, through just crazy places. It's hundreds of kilometres between anywhere, fields and fields and fields, then into a village, then dropping your speed, then back up. It's just it's very much hard work, but I'm not complaining. I'm just saying that yesterday, after I had some spinach, blended fresh spinach, where we was yesterday, they gave our lass's mum a lot of vegetables from the garden, tomatoes and paprikas and chilies, and you can imagine, and very nice. So yesterday there was a lot of spinach given. I forget the Hungarian name for spinach. It's quite close to it. That's what I was going to tell you, but it's not relevant. And yeah, the mother blended it, cooked it, put some potatoes in, some hard-boiled eggs. I had that. That charged me up, and we went and had a cuddle and a sleep. So that's not a euphemism for anything rude. We actually had a cuddle and a sleep, and it was morning time. So all good things come to those who wait, and we have waited long enough to openly discuss the New Testament, the Old Testament, testamentaries, authors, ships, Romans. We've been on it a while. So this is the last bit that I'm going to put out there as part of the Key Competence Foundation, and I mean the last bit now. I keep saying this is the last bit, and then I think, oh, they could do with that, oh, they could do with that, but this is the line. There are the three initial publications on the Masters Guild, the Judicial Civil template for justice for you to review. None of this is legal advice. This is just studies and works presented to the family of man across international communities. So your first publication, and there's two trust documents, master trust, principal and servant slave, and the structure there. And then we've had 2 gemstone documents come out and 21 gemstones videos about the trusts and indentures and various sorts of English 1925 Law of Property Act and so forth coming in. Very, very well done and well appreciated, in the realm, not stolen, sent, found on web pages, open, no passwords and keys needed. So we've taken them for study and direction, along with the 20 videos that was found by me on a YouTube channel. That is, the account name is liability space and then mate, and that is you know, your avenue there for that. And then I was speaking to Andy, Greg, brother Steve and Pete that we met down in Wales and privately after, and we are going to give you the key competence bonus edition, extra bonus stage, because we love you, and the gap is so massive, deception is so rife. Give you the agent officer interaction, which is another tricky area, to be fair, but it's civil, and it's civil management of administration of claims, and that is your stop and search, whether you be in a private automobile, iron horse, conveyance, motor, you know, etc., or if you be in a commercial capacity and you would be stopped, you would be then you know, questioned and dealt with and looked at to be you know, taken, charged, and etc. We are not here to dodge any law. We are not here to break law. What we are here is to manage the public codes and you know, get into law so we can have the correct remedy duly apportioned, without going into sin and claiming something that is not ours, going down a road of darkness, which would lead to you becoming an inmate. All right there. Aye, aye, Captain. Inmates. We don't want that. I don't want to be an inmate ever. If I do break a law, I tell you now, in front of, it will be dealt with, much like Gary of the Clan Davis, that's making criminal allegations, performing terrorist you know, duties by running a Facebook group entitled UK Laws and Secrets, and really getting to mans like this and doing stuff that they know about that they won't give you, or they will give you and they'll want money for, or they'll want to have a seminar and tickets and put it into whatever. You know, so we're going to do that later, but I want to prove myself. I want to show the love. I want to have the clean hands. I want to have the to earn your trust, entrusted and respect, and then I want to move forward with you by the side. Nobody having ultimate power anywhere. Everybody sharing, knowing the same, equality, moving forward, collecting up. And once we're in that safe, secure, wearing the armour of God, if you like, standing corrected, protected, private, then you can decide how we proceed. But a few private men amongst a massive public battle aren't really going to win it. You know, even if God does give you the wow, yeah, what I've put in the first part, the name David is mentioned. I'm sorry, it's nothing to do with me. I have my own path, and I do not get confused with fiction, reality, stories, divinity, who we are, what we are, when we are. I just want this done. I have blood on this planet, and mainly, if I'm honest, I started it for them, all right? I've included you along the way because I believe it is that important, that massive. I cannot do it on my own. It's very confusing. It's a little bit scary, and I believe you all have property like I that would need to be protected. So with all that said, there's your preview, your update. If you've not seen part 1, I will link it afterwards into the description. I will also today be going through all of my admin, answering emails, the .com, Facebook later this evening, and then I will be organising the channel. My Patreon needs looking at. I hadn't even started that, and finishing off the coursework for the key competence, officer agent interaction, being stopped and searched, opening and answering and dealing with, administering mail that you bow down to pick up from the floor at the letterbox every other day, and then when the dog and bone rings and you'd like to answer your private shipping line, and you answer your private line or your number or whatever you classify it as, and you say hello, greetings, and they start the commercial contract begins. We know this is joinder. We know this as submitting to the information required, and accepting that as being that and liable for that, which is not always true. We would be, you know, in the position of a different one other than public trustee, we would argue, and you know, that's how we would look to get out of it. So there's no criminals here that are committing crimes, because there are no crimes. We can prove that, and you can't prove we are committing crimes, because if you say we are committing crimes, then you would need to prove that for it to be valid. Gary, all right, an agent of the government, working for the government, am I really? You know, and other such claims that have been made, they're all being filed. Equity knows no time or no limits. So we put that to one side, much like the quickly, all time's running out for the PPI missold payments. No, it isn't. Brother Kevin picked up upon the fact that if it's sold via the fraud side of things, that would be a crime. If it's a crime, there are no limitations. There are no statute of limitations on crimes, all right? So spread that one. Every time you see that little, time's running out to get your claims in. Well, it is if you deal with it in legal realms and you consider the legal pathway of remedy that the academic financial institution has outlaid there for you. So, you know, proceed how you wish and how you see fit is ultimate what I will say to you in my points there. So, hopefully, we've caught up on section 1, all right, video 1, which was about 1 hour and 40, and your, 20, was it? 19 pages. We should be starting on page 19 of 28. I want to get this done now because I need to go and pick up the audio. Damn, I forgot. Maybe it's been quiet all that time. Yeah, I think, Dave, keep in mind this is the pen of all of the legal world. Be sure all know this. You're a good man, bud. Yes, we are. All know this. We've got a path to walk. Thank you very much. Sorry for the volume increase. Just yeah, a lot to say, a lot to do. I don't mind. And the criticism, the threats, the intimidation. I like to put myself out there. I was an entertainer back in the day. To go up there and DJ in a commercial party environment, with you being alone in front of hundreds, sometimes thousands, for hours on ends. You know, you've got pressure, you've got the commitment, you've got the responsibility. We are used to this, and we accept it. I have not always been a good follower of the faith, let's say, and I have broken the universal laws a few times in my past. I've said sorry. I've hurt folk verbally, not ever physically, only if I've been attacked myself. So thank you for your comments. Thank you for joining. 5, the physical 5 and 3 thumbs up. We're going to start, and then we will encapsulate the content once you've digested it. And this will be the video 3 of the last current videos I've done, starting with the Christian and pagan. Are you a Christian and a pagan study, and then moving on to the totalitarian tiptoe from Armageddon to Aquarius, and then you will be looking at the first video that I've done here, the Bible Decoded, and I will put all them 4 into a playlist, so then you can easily share that playlist from my channel, from Indie, and then put it wherever, or you can watch my videos and make your own playlist on your channel and put whatever Indie SPLs, whatever you want to name me as, on that playlist. And then as you play my videos, you go into the top of the screen. If you're on a handset mobile, or if you're on a laptop, a fixed device, then you'd look at the bottom right under the video. There should be a plus with some lines under it, and that's how you'd then select to add these videos of mine onto your playlist on your channel, and then share that playlist of your channel promoting videos on my channel. So yes, I give you the authority to download and copy and back up this. I don't know if YouTube's policy does, and etc., but my word is given to you, all of this for you to take, share, edit, send back, critique, praise. That'd be nice. Shouldn't be last. Grumbles, etc. None of this is strictly going to be left as is. It's all continuously improved. That's why we are kind of leading in many areas, as to where others are confused, scratching their heads and going around in circles, looking in tunnels which lead to dead ends and, rabbit warrens. So here we go. Joseph at Will goes a step further to say the Flavians wrote passages directly into the Gospels, which shows that they were the authors and indeed are looking like holding the authorship. One of the most famous prophecies that Jesus makes is about the coming of someone. He refers to them as the Son of Man. Now, how many of you believe that he's talking about a second coming of himself? And how many of you believe that this was going to occur at some point in the future? The fact is, this second coming of Jesus has already occurred, it appears. Jesus, I have to be careful here, but it does appear that this has happened. Okay, here we go. Jesus makes very specific prophecies as to what will happen when the Son of Man makes his visitation. He refers to the three key events. The Galilean towns would be crushed. Jerusalem would be encircled within the wall, and the temple will be razed, leaving not one stone atop another. He also states exactly when this individual will come. He says that the Son of Man will appear before the generation that is alive and listening to Jesus' words. Thus passes out to Jews of this era, and the generation then is 40 years. And so the only individual that could possibly be the Son of Man that Jesus predicts would then be Titus Flavius. So we have the Flavians and we have the Flavius. Titus Flavius did destroy the Galilean towns. He did encircle Jerusalem within the wall, and he razed the temple and left not one stone atop another. Christians, you can go, feel free to go and check that. And on the video number 3 will involve you with questions, give you time to get your research and your comparisons in, and we will continue on after this video. He did this within 40 years. Josephus recorded that no matter how Titus tortured the Jews, they refused to call him Lord or God. So to circumvent their stubbornness, the Flavians wrote the Gospels in which there is the Son of Man that was predicted to come in the future. And Titus filled these prophecies and became the Son of Man. So the Jews following the generations, and following generations to come end up worshipping Titus and Rome without even knowing it. So it seems we would put to you right now. It's a large controversial statement to make, but there you go. Man has been taken away from the source, Woman's prime connection to the original pure source. To further support this and his thesis, this is not my thesis, the Flavians originated Christianity. Joseph at Will points to the Roman Catholic Church's early saints, and they was known as the Christian Flavians, as Santos pointed out when he first mentioned them. The Flavian family is connected to early Christianity in several unusual ways. So many members of the family are recorded as being among the first Roman Catholic saints. These include Flavia Domitilla, who is either... Hello, Lily. Morning. She can hear me. She's speaking. She always says morning when they go out. Flavia Domitilla, who is either Titus's sister or his niece. There is an inscription honouring Flavia for donating the land that became the first Christian catacombs, and Flavia Domitilla was the first Christian saint. Her Pope son, should I say, let me just maximise, it will make this whole lot easier. Her son, Pope Flavius Clement I, is recorded as having been the first Roman Catholic Pope after the Apostle Simon. In addition, there were 2 members of the Flavian household staff, Nero and Achilles. Both had churches named after them in the very earliest Christian diocese in Rome. There was a Christian theologian whose name was Titus Flavius Clemens of Alexandria, and he's the one who described the first Christian symbols. Now listen to this, get ready, I hope you're sitting down. And he said they were, oh wow, what were they? Could you imagine? Let's just pause for a minute, let me get a drink. And sorry about the advertising, it's not mine, I don't support it, it's just a big cup that I like to use. For that fact, I'm actually angry about what it says. In fact, if I could just express the fact that this cup is the object of the epitome of what we stand for, with pregnant ladies not being able to go to the toilet, being reported in these slave day camps, concentration camps that we have, called warehouses and production lines. So thank you for that little bit of insight to tie in with what we're going on with there. Everything is connected. So, do you want to know the 4 symbols of the first Christian symbols, dear? Okay, scribes, I'll give you a bit of time there. Those on the replay, I'd have a pause and get some, items, symbols written down. There are 4 I'm looking for. The first one, okay, I'm going to give you the answers, is an anchor. An anchor. Okay, what? Anchor what? No, an anchor. The next one, number 2, it would be, of course, what the anchor is on belonging to, the boat. Oh dear, yes. Okay, then we have number 3. What's that going to be? Rejoin the tree as a what? As a branch, you say, Dave? Yeah, as a branch. Rejoin the tree as a branch. Not a high street branch, but a branch. Okay. That's an olive branch, I'd say there, argumentatively. The wreath of Rome, and the leaves, and how many leaves are on the reefs. And then we've got the last one. Come on, Christians, I hear you shouting at me. Fish. Yeah, it's the fish. You're right, it's the fish. So Christian symbols allegedly seem to be, from our discovery and other scholars, are anchor, boat, fish, olive branch, and the star. Ooh, I didn't bold that, so there's 5. All right, recorrection. And the star makes sense, Mars stars. And oddly, these are the very symbols that the Flavian Caesars used upon their coins. Now, there was a Roman who was the first to press coins rather than paper. I've told you his name before. I'll let you research that. It didn't go down well with the establishment, let me tell you. He was the man that coined coins first. The final connecting point between the Flavian family and Christianity is that in the, pardon me, 4th century, Flavius Constantine, 325 when we say the 4th century, made Christianity the state religion of Rome, 325 CE. The military achievements of the various Caesars were important to all Romans. So certainly 100% no doubt that the Flavian Christians, the group that the Roman Catholic Church states are the first saints of the Christian religion. Therefore, they would all have known, 100% the identity of the Son of Man that Jesus predicted, Shikaka, whom was later to come to fulfill said prophecies and crush Galilee, encircle Jerusalem with the wall, raise the temple. That was Titus Flavius. So, it seems if a person knows how to uncover, or if man knows how to uncover the secrets and codes and keys, there are actually many clues pointing to the Flavian origin of Christianity. Yes, Santos, we're here, we're catching up. I'm sorry we're so long behind, but this, we need more help. This is complex. This is still not correct, all right? I still need to make amendments. If you are copying this down, it is not 100%, I warn you. It is raw, but it's so raw. It will take a bit of time, but the basics is there. You can go ahead and take copy, whatever, and then we'll get back onto it when we give you the presentation. We will then check that before we produce. And perhaps the most intriguing one that Joseph uncovered is a secret code the Flavians infused in their document, which enabled him to make a startling discovery. I mentioned before in the books, in the first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 books of the Bible, in Genesis going and counting 49, and then the second book and the third book, and Numbers, I believe, and then the 4th and the 5th, and counting 49, and words that you get, Yahweh, Torah, Torah forwards, Torah backwards. I've gone into all of that, codes within that. Well, that isn't, secret. Yeah, this is what we're talking about. I won't give you my opinion. There's where we are. So Atwill uncovered a secret code in the Flavians, the Flavians infused in their document, which has enabled him to make startling discovery. Romans had the Jew scripture locked up inside their imperial court, and they studied it hard from cover to cover. what they discovered was there was a unique literary code hidden in that text. The hidden code, which was common in Jewish scripture, was used then by the Flavian literary team to place the passages, hear me out, into the Gospels that had to be deciphered to be understood. Thus, hidden literary technique is known as... Come on, you know this. I didn't know it, and then I forgot. I knew it, and I'd forgot it. So for the rewind, here's our Davy with a quick reminder. It's known as typology. Some of you will have put ciphers, cipher, code, cipher. That's what I went for straight away, but typology. Typology is used throughout the ancient Flavian literature, and it's a genre that is really no longer understood and used today. Simply put, typology is deceptive. No, is using events from the past to provide and form and context for subsequent ones in the present. What we're talking about is a stereotypical, correlation. In other words, there's an idealized prototype, model, story, which shows certain characters or performs, here we go, in certain ways. For instance, this is Jordan Maxwell style. One of the things they do is they take an old story, they retell it in a new form, and they superimpose contemporary history upon old stories, much like Westminster and the codes and legislation superimposed upon common law. They create these multi-layered text in Hebraic, Hebraic. That's where starting from, typology texts were designed to be read in comparison to one another or intertextually, and in doing so, a meaning that would not be visible in the surface narration would later become apparent to somebody who understood the type of logic connection between the story. Okay, Hebraic typology connects prophets, events from the life of one prophet, and they are placed into the life of a subsequent follower prophet. And this shows there is a divine pattern established by God connecting his prophets to one another. And the Gospels show how we can decipher for ourselves this hidden code or typology that was used to create the story of Jesus. Big shout going out to the Da Vinci Code in the house. This is the Indigo, Crystal, Rainbows and Lightworkers remix. Shout going out to slave masters. Yeah, what? At the very beginning of the Gospels, there's a primer, like when you're painting, there's a primer paint, there's a primer in the story there. This typology, what the author Matthew has done is to take events, it looks like, from the Old Testament and place them into the life of Jesus. These events occur in the same sequence in the story of Jesus as they occur in the Old Testament. Christians, off you go. Numerous Bible scholars have already identified the following parallels. Before you go, come back a minute and just cop for this. Both stories have a patriarch named Joseph who travels from Israel to Egypt. They have a ruler who massacres innocent boys. The divine character who states that all the men are dead who sought your life. And then the return from Egypt to Israel. As I've said, indentured slaves of Egypt, freed, and took out of Israel. That's what we're on about there, okay? This followed by events which have passing through water. In the Old Testament, the Israelites passed through the Red Sea. In Matthew, Jesus is given a baptism, which he passes through water. We then travelled into the wilderness, the Israelites in the wilderness for 40 years. And finally, we have the three temptations. Now, that's not a musical collection of men, a band, the Temptations. We have the three spiritual, soulful temptations by bread. The statement, do not tempt God. Yes, don't tempt me, not me. As in, here we go, you're thinking for you. The commandment to worship only God. These appear again in Matthew, where Jesus is tempted by bread, tells the devil, do not tempt God, and instruct him to worship only God. Lord God, split title, God, not Lord, here we go. Therefore, when you compare the life of Jesus with the life of Moses, you see a linkage that shows the character in the Gospels was divinely connected to the character in the Old Testament. The life of the first saviour of Israel, Moses, foresaw the life of Jesus, who is now claiming to be the next saviour of Israel. To understand the rest of the Jesus story and his adult ministry, we simply need to know that the same system of parallel names, locations, concepts occurring in the same sequence was used to connect Jesus in the Gospels to Titus in the works of Josephus. See what I mean? When that's just one little paragraph in all of this, and that mashes you too. Scholars explain this gospel typology in the following 3 examples. Jesus comes to the Sea of Galilee at the beginning of his ministry, and he gathers his disciples to him, and he says, "Do not be afraid." Children are on the move, dogs are barking. Do not, what does he say? Do not be afraid, follow me and become the fishers of men. Now listen up, in the Gospel of Luke, Jesus says catchers of men. Just give it a minute. Just guard dogs, it's all good. There's no screaming. Titus comes to the same location, to the Sea of Galilee. He gathered his troops, his disciples together, and he says, "Do not be afraid." And he leads them. He leads them where? Well, I'll tell you. They follow him, and he attack a group of Jewish rebels. They sink the Jews' boats. The Jews attempt to swim to safety, and the Romans, what do? They use their spears to catch them. Well, catch them, kill them. They become fishers of men. The match is not exact, YouTube, okay? I hear you, scribes, all right, Christians, bear with me. We should never expect it to be exact, okay? That would be too easy. It's simply a comparison which is repeated through the whole of the New Testament. Hello there. We all good? Are we okay? What was that barking? Did you just walk past? All right. I'm trustee looking after the Princess Yanka while Anna and the other mum is out doing jobs, which is repeated through the whole of the Testament. Yeah, Jesus constantly is dealing with devils. Josephus also deals with devils. Josephus defines who these devils are. He states that the devils are those individuals who have, here we go, drum roll please, a rebellious spirit. And a rebel, they are a rebel with a cause, a rebel against Rome. So that's who I'm a devil then, according to that standards, aren't I? Am I a devil? I don't think so. 1 minute. We good? At Gadara, Jesus encounters one man who has a legion of demons inside his mind. They are then driven out by Jesus. They infect a herd of swine, and then this herd is rushes wildly into the water. This is a parallel to Titus's battle at Gadara, where one individual infects a legion of Jews with his demonic spirit. And Lord, I'm awake. Stop it. It's just been the hardest thing to do this. I don't know why, but it's really tested me, this document and this presentation. Let's go. And then so this is a parallel to Titus's battle at Gadara, where one individual infects an entire legion of Jews with his demonic spirit, and then that group in turn infects another group, and this combined group is driven by the Romans into the sea. What is being suggested here is that this story that you find in the Gospels is in some ways sort of like a grim parable, parable, all right? What a parable is, terrible parable. There's your bulls again, listen to your phonics. So it's a parable about that military event. It's a bit tongue-in-cheek. I think the Romans have a vicious, dark, black sense of humour. This is a very black sense of humour. Black slaw, black officers, black uniform for state, police, troopers, etc. You get me, fam? In the medieval text, which is called the Gospel of Barnabas, when you read that story, the way it is written and presented, it is in an unsophisticated form. That is to say, it's sort of been decoded in some kind of a way, and it becomes clear that what we're talking about here are the Jewish rebels being chased into the sea. They subsequently were drowned in the sea. In the Gospels, the Jews are presented as pigs. I'm sorry, but that's how it looks like. This is once again a very dark, black sort of cult Roman sense of, humour, coffin humour. Thus, literature really needs you to be taking it in that sense. Unfortunately, in this way, I would suggest, and others are suggesting. In Josephus' biography, he describes when he was in the entourage of Titus during the closing stages of the siege of Jerusalem. Okay, and he chanced upon 3 of his friends who were being crucified. He then pleaded with Titus for their possible release. Oh, wow, friends in high places, here we go. Titus gave the permission, and the 3 figures, men's friends, were removed from the crosses. 2 of them happened to have died, and 1 was revived. 2 of them happened to have died, and 1 was revived. Now, if you're looking for a stereotypical example of how some idea was floated into the mind of someone writing the Gospels, I rest the case. We know via the revelations and disclosure from Joseph Jordan of the Maxwell house, clan, tribe and estate that there are Aztec artifacts depicting a man with a cross on his back. There are many and various sources for all the information. Thus information, woe man of the womb, shall never really definitively know. We can assume and presume as our heart's content. You make an ass out of you and me when you assume, due to the first-hand knowledge and libraries being burnt down and a distinct lack thereof. Poor shame is what I say. This is a pretty clear example, and it is certainly a strange occurrence that we find such an incident in the works of Josephus, and then it shows up in such a dramatic form of said Gospels. In the Gospels, Joseph of Arimathea, Arimathea, asked the Roman commander to take Jesus down from the cross. Christians, ears up, eyes down. In Joseph's history story, Joseph, that is Bar Matthias, B-A-R-R, asks the Roman commander to take someone down from the cross. Arimathea is put on Josephus' last name, Bar Matthias. When you read the sources, and that's what the scholars say, you really need to read them carefully. I haven't done all this myself. Again, I keep pointing that out, so you can't accuse me of stealing stuff. It's thousands of years old. Obviously, it's not my work. It's thousands of years old. This is current, cutting-edge translation for the international nations. It's effectively very, very well hidden, all right? We have to understand that our literature, a lot of our literature, is essentially propaganda. The Romans are not writing objective history for us at all. All of our literature seems to have been written through Roman filters, all right? The state and church filters, Roman filters there. Perhaps that's the significance of the Dead Sea Scrolls, that in this particular literature hasn't been through the Roman filters. It is important to realise that's when it's besmirched and, except, we don't credit that. No, that's rubbish. No, that's just, piffle. Shut up. It is important to realise that Josephus wrote in an era when allegory was regarded as science. You don't know what allegory is, okay? Off you go. That's why I said at the beginning, the documents you'll need, publications you will need. It was regarded as a science. Educated readers were expected to be able to see another meaning in the religious text, all right, context and subtext, than the one that appeared in the surface narration. Thus, certainly is not standard practice today in 2019. You see, you find struggles, to hold a spontaneous, random, articulated conversation about anything intellectual and array from the football narrative. Thank your smartphones, phonics and digital substitutes for all that lovely knowledge they're bestowing upon you. Alexa, go home. And all the other ones that are put there to ease your life, to make things easier. Whatever they are, echoes, dots, or all of the things, name them, go home. We are dealing with Roman literature on one hand and Jewish literature on the other hand. It must be said that in both cases they are much more sophisticated and much more multi-layered, an alchemical mixture of deception and lies, we would say, elusive and much trickier than modern readers would ever suspect. It's full of holes. It is holy. No, it's not a simple literature at all. It's very complex, allegorical literature that indulges in the literary games that the Romans played. the more we understand about the Roman literature in this period, and then you place the Gospels and other Christian literature in that same mix, same as what I did with Daniel, you can start to see the games that are being played in that literature. Now, the parallels have been seen by other scholars, tubes, casters, initiates. What they have failed to notice is that they occur in the same sequence, and thereby they create a typological pattern. Thus, it's thanks to Joseph Atwill, not David, his research and discovery. I'm riding on the back of this wave. It is impossible to try and read these texts in context, because in any given text, you've got the text in the first instance, then you've got the context, the environmental area, realm in which it happens, and of course, in all of these texts, you've got a subtext. You've got a text, context, a subtext, and you have to be able to read all of these things together. And unfortunately, many religious people who are coming out of seminaries, are coming out of religious colleges, they're just not being trained in this sort of level of reading. Shit you not. So when you're paying your student loans back, yeah, think about that. They are interested, they are instead being trained just to read on one level. And remember, I've spoke to my mother, who was head of Derby University Law Department, about various things, and she was unknowledgeable and sketchy. That's my mum. I'd never speak badly about my mum. I love her to bits, but she wasn't academically trained in where we are, just like the saying here. They are instead trained just to read on one level, which is a literary level. And I think that's very unfortunate, really needs to be challenged, starting with the self-initiates at spspro.com, by studying the multiple layers in these ancient texts as the original Greek language, as Joseph has done. Joseph Atwill was able to discover not just a handful of errors, but over 40 typological errors and parallels. My Famalan, what are you saying now? Between the Gospels and the words of Josephus, which shows the ministry of Jesus Christ followed an exact sequence as a military campaign of Titus Flavius, through the parallel names and locations and concepts. Once a woe man, Rick, I can't believe there's a bleating goat calling for me, or somebody. Once Woman cognises the system that the Flavians were using to link Jesus to Titus, Woman is then able to discover dozens of these parallels between Jesus and Titus for yourself. What was and is amazing is that they occur in the same sequence, and simply this proves that this was deliberate, and these unusual parallels look like they have been created by the Flavians as their signature. It is their way of telling posterity that they offered the Gospels. These parallels are the Flavian authorship signature of the Gospels. Okay. Both Jesus and Titus began their campaigns at the Sea of Galilee and then go into the Galilean countryside, followed by a journey to Jerusalem. Once they reach the city's outskirts, they pause for a period before they enter the city. Finally, they leave the city where their campaign has come to an end. To catalogue the many parallels, we can give each one a convenient name that relates to the concept in that particular parallel set, starting at Galilee. Each of these episodes that occurred both in the Gospel story of Jesus and the history of Titus' military campaign. Okay, that's key to put there. That's interesting. Cold coffee, yes it is. Both Jesus and Titus journeyed to Jerusalem, each sending messengers ahead to meet them when they get to the city. When the Romans get to Jerusalem, they notice the Jewish factions are fighting against themselves, divided Rome. At this point in the divided Rome, should I say. At this point, in the Gospels, Jesus talks about a house divided against itself, it cannot stand. There we go. Then Josephus wrote that in preparation for battle, Titus ordered all of the fruit trees between the Roman camp and the walls of Jerusalem cut down. At this point in the Gospels, Jesus states that if a fruit tree does not bear good fruit, cut it down. Can you see? Titus goes around the walls of Jerusalem looking for the best place to construct a tower from which they can launch their attack. At this point in the Gospels, Jesus asked, "Which one of you is going to build a tower doesn't first sit down and think about the cost?" At this point in the history, Titus sends Josephus to ask the Jews what terms they will accept. As I mentioned earlier, here we go. In the Gospels, Jesus describes a king who sends a delegation to ask for terms of peace. Both Jesus and Titus at this point have a triumphant entrance to Jerusalem, during which amazingly stones are said to cry out. Each then pries a den of thieves out from the area in front of the temple. This was followed by Titus encircling Jerusalem, a wall, and Jesus predicting that Jerusalem will be encircled with the wall. As a result of the wall, starvation sets in Jerusalem, and Josephus wrote that a woman named Mary, who called her son a myth for the world, slayed him, ate him, thereby turning him into a human Passover lamb. In the Gospels, we now have the Last Supper. The Last Supper. Jesus tells his disciples, take, eat, this is my body, this is my blood, this is my church, this is my steeple. Faithless. Yeah, wow. Jesus tells his disciple, take, eat, this is my body, this is my blood, thereby turning him into a human Passover lamb. Here is the Flavian signature of their authorship into the Gospels. You can see the fingerprints that they've left. Their fingerprints are all over these texts. You can start too, as of the word, to decode these texts and finally start to arrive at some startling conclusions for yourself about how early Christianity first seems indeed to have arisen or arose. Scholars have shown that the Gospels were not the product of primitive Jewish fishermen. Rather, they are sophisticated literary works combining religious ideas of the day with Roman political perspectives and power objectives over a time continuum, a big old continuum. Joseph Atwell's research reveals that reading the works of Josephus concurrently with the New Testament shows that the events of Jesus' life are not in fact historical, but would rather depict that all of them are dependent upon the events which were active and going on in the military campaign of Titus Flavius. Jesus Christ was an allegory for the Roman Caesars, Titus Messiah of the Roman Empire, the Romans, son of a god. The Christianity was set up to worship. We certainly don't want to undermine the positively, absolutely loving, beautiful things being done in Christianity. It's not why I'm here, not at all. I'm happy to admit that there are positive things in Christianity and other religions as well. What's an issue here really fundamentally are the historical class of these religions. Bottom line, traditionally religious dogma has forbidden the examination in the past year of the historical discoveries or the inclusion of certain scientific findings steadfast, rock solid in their teachings, allowing their followers instead to blindly believe as they say, not as the objectives facts may show. We live in a new age, a new dawn, and the time is ours. The time is now. I see it as a new consciousness, an intellectual renaissance, which is getting fed up with being sanctioned. Always have 2 alarms just to make sure. That would be sanctioning in the legal realm. Sanctioning is what we call it. It's a non-Oxford dictionary word, spanctioning. You've been sanctioned. Naughty. You're not criminals. You've just gone against policy, so you must pay. If you are guilty, you will pay. Yeah. I shot the sheriff. He's a man of the realm. I didn't shoot the deputy. He's just an understudy. He's innocent, really. But the sheriff, he's going to cop for it. Sorry, it's just a tedious link that come Bob Marley shouting at me from the back of my mind there. I don't know if that's relevant or not. That's just what happened, so I thought I'd share that. Sorry. So I see it as a new consciousness, an intellectual renaissance, which is getting fed up with sanctioning and many of the legal, invasive, presumed, consented structures that we all are currently living with. We've let them into our lives. We've consented to it somehow, in which, is recognising the major frauds at the heart of our financial Babylonian central markets and the heart of our industry. The plug is being pulled on them as we speak. They are pulling the plugs as they want to. They are doing what Nero equivalent, okay? So I put the fool into number 10, Boris, correlation. Oh, now you see it. Think about that. Bring it back here. Hello. Oh, wow. TikTok. Don't be scared. There is time. We're all good. I've just had to rush things along. Thank you, Brexits. many of the legal, invasive, presumed consented structures that we live with, and which is recognising major frauds at the heart of our financial Babylonian central markets, the heart of our industry, and the plug is being pulled on them. As we speak, Babylon falls and the cryptocurrency seems to be emerging with a quantum 5G AI and the Bitcoin market technologies, blockchain and the fourth industrial revolution. That's just what I see is happening, all right? My recent view is that we have yet another tractor crime fraud against it. It's the biggest of them all, and it's a fraud at the heart of Christianity. So when you're going to charge me with anything, London, QE2, agents, etc., what claims am I going to bring first? You talk about crimes. Well, I'd like to bring a few up, if I may, in my defence for my actions against my covenant with the. You see where we're going. This ties this bit in. This is the missing area. My recent view: crime, heart of Christianity, and it's time, like Assange and Snowden and others, it's time for the whistleblowers that they've made laws against, for them not to whistleblow, to come out and make this information available. Well, as you said earlier, that user, scriber, account holder, family, tribe, self-initiate, hermeticist and herbalist, that's what we've got to do, all right? Make this information available, not just to scholars, not just to universities, not just on paid for websites that are premium, that want you to pay £30 a month, etc. 25 pence a week is what I'm asking for in donations. If you think that's too much, then I'm sorry, I don't need to talk to you, because we need to do something in a monetary system and survive until we can get out of it and turn this around. So this information will be available to all, to you, not just to the allegedly, select. It will be widely available to anybody who wants it. Hence why I am not sat reading the revised and edited work to my scribes and tribes, is why I am sat. Well, did that get in there? Look, not just appeared. Why I am sat reading this. This document is going to be finalised and given the all clear by the team. Fancied up and given the paraphernalia, decals and stuff as usual that we do, lions.com, links and so forth, credits to authors, all of them. Then it shall be published after your officer agent interactions, key competence, content and grading. The assessment will be completed and then it will be released. This one, after that one, we've got a priority here. The document Caesar's Messiah 2019, or the Bible Recoded with Caesar's Messiah, we mixed in there, forms the last documentation in this Masters Guild Foundation study. It follows on, and it's a compromisation of a video presentation that's it's going on and on and on. I've collected my information, I suggest you collect yours. All this is completely legal, it's lawful, you see. It's above the board of the boat, the decks, all right, deals. That's what I've just put comments there. Getting to the end, I was putting a bit of humour in. We're on page 26 to 29. As I continue to research the history and law, as Brother Santos said, it's helpful to hear, a wide diversity of voices in order for man to arrive at your own conclusion. We can only point out the travesties and mass crimes against man. These are falsehoods, as we've said, Brother John, before. Canons, falsehoods, I'm not relying upon them, but these are comparable to that area of which the theories brought forth by these scholars, such as ourselves, self-initiates, the makers of such works and studies as Joseph there, are part of that diversity. I am part, you are part of that diversity. Ascension is happening now. As we continue to improve, we will carry on the work when the leaders have faded away, until man is unbonded and truly free again. When they hear that Jesus' story is a myth, scribes and tribes and new ones into this allegorical research, they feel that you are taking something away from them, their strength, their rock, their pillar, but we're not. What we want to do is we want to push you to the zone where you're uncomfortable, and we want you to think, why do you believe in the historical Jesus, for instance? Often you will answer, well, he's the main character in the Bible. Everybody believes in Jesus, I dare not believe in Jesus because I don't want to burn in hell, okay? But when you say, have you studied it, actually, as a historical reference document? Have you looked at history? Have you looked at any or all of the evidence? The reply is no. I can't, I haven't, it's too much. There's, you know, the real reason we think when we push man to face the issue is that you have a comfortable relationship with Jesus. We have had a comfortable relationship with Jesus. They've put us in that comfortable position. And as I've said, misery, suffering, pestilence, heartache, as Andy has said, as others have said, not just I, it's not me here, it's all this word coming from all of us. Whoa, man, you have a relationship with Jesus. Get off that ship, all right? You're not going to lose anything, and we're going to get you to become the best version of yourself. You know, that's a really good reason to be a Gnostic, and a really bad reason to be a literate monastic. You know, pre-Christian pagan mystery schools believed that the myth of dying and the resurrecting God-man, it was an allegory to be used for personal growth, to die under the lower nature, to rise to your higher nature, the temple, consciousness, not awake, but being conscious of your actions. The literalists, they seem to have taken control of the original myth and shaped it so it would take the power away from you, the man, the individual, the heart, the mind, the soul, the consciousness, you know, the Holy Spirit, the Holy Ghost. These things, rediscovering the original verse gives woe man the freedom to choose the belief that truly serves them. I want you to have the choice. As always, we want you to think and have the choice. Watching you going this way to crucifixion without contemplating freedom all the time, and when it involves little ones, it kills us, literally. There, a little part of us dies. Rediscovering. Okay, some Christians now have developed their personal faith to the extent that Christ is the energy, the Kundalini, correct? Okay, the force or the power within, up there. This is how you and I have interrupted and interpreted this story. The story has become again what the story actually began as. At the end, we go back to the beginning in many ways of this path. Insane, as an allegory. I have no issue with the Christ. The kingdom of heaven lies within. Myself and Andy have said this and professed this many times on our hangouts. We're not going back on that. Santos has said, and the research is bang on the button. When Santos looked at what we've done, he said we are above where he left it off. We've gone really far. I've had, you know, I can't say everything, but he's on the channel and he's said that. It's recorded there in time, so I'm very humbled by that. And this is thanks to Santos. I'm getting all spiky thingies, look, when I speak like this. Good Lord. If you could have only have seen how this was put together and the months that it's... the calamity, the time Anne-Marie's lost, the frustration, the anger. I'm sorry it's fast and rushed, because as always there's not enough time. I've got jobs to be doing very, very soon. Wow, it's not that bad though. We've got time for comments. So that's respect to all of the scholars that have helped me get to this. You look at me and think, how does he do this? Well, hard work, diligence, research, pain, a weird brain, and wanting to, the you know, you see my passion, you see I get fast, you see I give a crap, I embarrass myself, I backtrack, and I'm here time and time again. So forgive me, and please take this and use it. It's not finished. When it is finished, it's going to be the final chapter. We have an issue with the church militant. What presents humanity is organised and regimented religion, all right? On the mark, the army now. So seriously, it's taken so seriously that you will act out its worst precepts. Look at the world today, the Gaza Strip, Syria, you know, the wars. Turn on Euronews and Russia Today. Watch for 24, 48 hours and get back to me, please. See what you think then. When man examines all of the religions of the world, what we find is there is a common thread, a commonality that connects all things and all people. And it's from this connection that we can make the choices that have now become so critical to our future. We live in a time now where we're going to be judged. Right now, we're going to be judged at this time for what we do and what we allow. If we tolerate, then your children, they will be next. We need to focus on the origins of religious ideas, and it turns out they're very unifying underneath all that diversity and diversiveness. We see on the surface it would be extremely helpful for all of humanity, yes, to realise that there is an underlying unity for us all, creeds, and those origins are basically nature, worship, the study of the sun, the moon, the stars, the planets, astro theology. This is what humanity has been looking at. Of course, with great awe and reverence for thousands of years. Michael Tellinger, I've not mentioned him, boom. It's extremely important, I think, for us to get back to those roots. The destruction of the planet is also directly tied to those religious ideas. I believe the animal kingdom, the plant kingdom, this is destroying them as well as the kingdom of man, as we've previously said. So these works will help to restore balance to this planet. It is very profoundly significant. Altering the survival of humanity depends on viewing his story from a new perspective, so that we can be clearer on the historical facts and still honour the myth that offers the greatest wisdom. I'm sorry, but it does. Go away. I'm shivering and shaking and spiking. What follows history is much too complex for the average single man, woman. The actual history is so complex, we will never maybe know all of the intricacies and the facts about what happened 2,000 years ago. I'm sorry, but it's what happens when you burn shit down and kill everybody. The voices of you, the self-initiates, and the researchers combined, and our scholars are contributing to an ever-widening dialogue of facts. I have several videos and publications on the .com, and the growing paradigm shift, even witnessed all around the world today, that can lead to an more empowering and enlightened humanity, a conscious, not awake, but just conscious. Please think about that. This is really important for you, for your families, for your lineage, for your assets, for the future, for the culture, to understand where Christianity originated initially from, possibly, all right? And there's more evidence for this than there is in the original. So when you look at the things around the world and you've got these evidences and we ignore them, well, this is direct evidence, all right, where Christianity, this is what we're saying, and you can actually walk this path, and you can perhaps come to this, not all of you, but some, most of you will come to this conclusion, and you will know that it looks like Christianity was an invention of the Romans, and it seems to have been done to pacify their subjects, all right? Passive, aggressive, cognitive dissonance, CBT. This is important because it gives woman a different way of understanding how the government operates, and the tools that the government uses, all right? They're not always weapons that you can see. Shadow dynamics, soft wars, bang on, I'm hearing you. The purpose that government has for the various propaganda apparatus, evangelical Christians getting away with debunking facts, mere theory, even subjects like the evolution as we've covered, but they provided no evidence for their position other than simply to cite religious dogma. Okay, if one looks at the influence that dogma is having in the media today, you can easily see it is increasing. I would like us, woman, to start challenging these extremists. They're not elitists, they're extreme. Elite, I'd argue that really. Do not give them such an accolade. To consider the possibility that these findings are correct. Though there is much good in Christianity, we have to understand how the rulers have or may have used it to control man, money, power, media, money, military, when I say that, and media, the 3 M's, and they how are still using it today in 2019. I hope you self-initiates, my tribes and family around the plains, will take these works, will take these videos, and you will share them far and wide. I've removed the adverts so you can watch them in one, you can pause them, you are authorized to download them, you can copy them, you can re-edit them, and you would send them back to David at splspro.com. Your praise, your grumbles, anybody wants to get together and have a chat and articulate and go toe to toe in a calm, respectful, peaceful, loving way. You want to get some clerics, stars of their own up here. You want to get some, let me think now, somebody from the Islamic faith, somebody from the Catholic, somebody from the Christian, somebody from each faith representing from a continent. We can do that. A bit harder now that the Hangouts have gone. We need a different platform, but we'll look to do that. We will open this up, all right? I will host it, possibly with Andy. And I haven't bothered him while I've been away. I'm having a break, literally. I'm not contacting too many. I'm focusing on Anne-Marie and the family here, because we come here for 2 weeks out of the 52 weeks of the year. Anne-Marie's detached from her mother. The cord, again, disconnected from the motherland for 50 weeks. So the 10 12 days that she gets out here, that she's permitted by the boss man back in England under the policy. You know, she wanted a month. That was denied due to policy, family and blood and hearts. Oh, no, you can't go and see your mother. You know, that's not right. No, discretion. We do, well, yes, we've got discretion, but no, you're not. You're having this and that's it. Okay, now shoo, go away. That's what we get. So she's here for the 12 days. I'm going to make sure she gets full use of those 12 days. And so I have a fine balance. And when I get back, I'll be available for some weeks till I get the MOT done and sort that out. So that will be middle of September. We're going to move on. I'm going to look to expand on this, further seminars, distribution of the key competence masters, officer agent interaction, all in one go. So get ready for a torrent in September. Share it, all right? There's no adverts. It's very hard to get a channel, a video on your channel to do well and to get views when you don't put the adverts on. So please, you know, I've spent a lot of time and hours and tears, and others have. This, again, not me, all right? Not stolen, presented for consideration. I give it to you. It's given away. It's open source. There's no copyright. If there was, then I think a lightning bolt would come down now and finish me off, okay? I want to start you. I want you to and be more skeptical when you get the authority figure put to you, the self-appointed Smithy authoritarian. Not that Smithy is a self-appointed authoritarian, but he was the one that brought that into my, oh, wait up, stop, rewind, you know, and that's what we did. Using the faith to interpret laws. Our belief in Armageddon to create a government policy, or to create government policies. The Flavians encoded, you know, a secret message into the Gospels, which we can now understand in a brand new 2019 way. You shall know the truth, my family, scribes, initiates, you know, souls, warriors, whatever you want to call yourself. I don't know, but I just call you family, all right? And I know that it's familiar. I don't speak that. I'm not licensed to. When I say family, I just mean family. We're at ease, soldiers, all right? So the belief in Armageddon to create government policies, the Flavians encoded a secret message into the Gospels, which we can now understand in a brand new way. You shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. And that's from me, your brother David, of the Jeremita family, the original Mason. I got the key. I got the secret. I'm going to another place. Get yourselves finding Urban Cookie, 1991, I believe roughly it was. I've got the key. I've got the secret on a pt2. Another place. Bop, 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 bop. Yeah, just randomly came into my head when I was writing it, so I'll put that in there for you. Urban Cookie, thank you again for that programming. It's amazing, the DJ, when I'm doing the law and then my brain's working, because I'm in that deep in this. I don't know how. I don't believe that my brain is working in them areas. What little of I have, the pea-sized walnut. I hear you, yes, I take it. But I don't believe that. I think the outside goes ba-ding and gives you a little like the Matrix with all them numbers. I believe that you, I, initially, baby, have a couple of threads connected. And as it expands, the bandwidth expands and it just starts. I've been sat here talking to you, typing a reply to Anna and holding the chat with you and typing and holding that with that. Whereas man today can't really spontaneously, as I said, do that with a conversation. So I say this with love. I say this with light. I say this with worry. I say this for you to lose the fear. I'm not saying you should follow me. No, I'd be honoured if I got some accolade and praise for some of the works that I've done. Andy, G-Star with the website. We've got Kevin there with the DDC. I always bring the family, and it's not the David show, and it's not the David ego. There's more to come. We need more. We need help. Emissaries, you know, trustees in a lawful form, which is untouchable, unalienable, man's agents of your trust, of the realm trust. We reset this book. When I say about dictionaries, Brother John of the Middleton clan, I need you. I need you now, sat here, working with me. I want funds to come in to do this. If you've got any funds, any spare surpluses, and you believe in this, and this has made your ears prick up, clerics, amins, you know, non-Christians, business owners, mans with something to correct. If you've done something wrong, I'm not trying to trick you here. You want to make good. This is something something that might just alleviate any wrongdoing. If there's a time and a place or anything what's made you think, and you turn on the TV today on the Tuesday and you look at the news and then reflect back on what I've presented and put here, this beautiful work of others, and what I've been able to put together and now add. You know, somebody at some point has got to make something newer and look at improving it without claiming the work. So I don't claim the work, and I've presented it. You can shoot me down, or you can join us and move on. The time for fighting is finished. We refuse to fight. We're in a very strong place. Yes, family is number one. You and I are family. I don't know you, you don't know me. We need help, we need to move fast. I'd like to get the claims in, to get the, you know, with this kind of concept, work and presentation, substance, case file, all of this stuff, we've built up a rather strong, irrefutable, position where it is no longer plausible deniability. I have made it my mission. I've had a mission to get rid of the plausible deniability after going into the higher courts and looking at access for assets and getting walked all over, made in a joke of 2 years and 20 grand for a court writ in the legal realm, which means nothing, when I could have gone in there as a man within a week and shut it down and finished it. Think, all right, bar Matthias, makes me so much going on. So thank you, much love. It's getting to be very hot today. I'll show you the realm. We'll have a little walk. Put everything down. That's a lot off my chest, let me tell you. Look, you in the mince pies. Might go in the shade so we can see. That's my on Wi-Fi. That's the first job I've done today. My eyes might not be so presentable. Yanka? Yeah. Ah, you're here, are you? Any news from the Queen? All quiet. All right, I'm just going to finish this off and then we'll have a chat. 11 o'clock. Timing is good. Timing is good. Juice. 1 minute. Sorry. You can get off if you want, or you can hang about and we'll have a little chat. Just let me get some kind of liquid. Sorry I've gone fast. You are able to slow me down. I'm time constrained. I'd like to sit here and read that out again properly with others in one. Have a live guest, studio, audience, phone in, everything like that, and we go again. This is just an initial outlay, all right? Don't panic. It's going to be done again in depth, correctly. Documents will be emailed and given, downloaded for free. No restriction. Everybody gets included. Everybody that wants to be. So yes, I don't want to go back cleaning mould off walls when I can talk and do stuff like this. This is relevant. This is important. This is to do with strengthening all and putting ones on place. Let's get them in. Let's get them down. Let's write to them. Let's notice them. Let's put it out there. Put me down. Tell me I'm wrong then. Give me the evidence. This is how it started. My dreams are broken hearted. Come on, let's go and sit on the comfy. Hello to the 10, 1 hour and 12. Eric starts with you saying blessings all. Good early new day from all. Thank you. Yes, Quinn. Yes, John. That's better. So many things, history coming to light that show may be deceived. Yes, Eric. Truth seeker. Well said. Bosh, nothing wrong with hard work. Mark, hello. Quinn, yeah, I like her. Super leads. Bit early. It is, isn't it? I've got too many jobs. I'm doing admin, making a few calls, looking at notifications. I'm sorry, but well, thank you for joining me on this Tuesday morning. I'm an hour in front as well, so it will be super early for you there. No rave tunes today, it's too early. Look, I've still got puffy eyes myself. Puff Daddy in the house. Don't mention, we won't mention that. Noted, Leeds, Pie. Yes, Quinn agreed. All right, Pie Man's listening. That's it. Take it away from the subject there. Leeds going on about that when I noticed that this is such important. I'm not having a go at you, Super. I'm just saying that when man comes on and lays such critical, concise knowledge for you to, argue with, take or leave, and we talk about cricket, I'll mention that because I wouldn't want you talking about cricket when we're talking about decoding the world's most popular, elusive, evasive book there. So I note no malice, but I do take note of everything. All right, just to put it out there. You're asking how he's doing. It's all good. See, that's good. You're allowed to chat. I'm not having a go at all. But sometimes I believe we could do with focusing on the core subject, because this is a live chat, and you need to recognise that whilst we are live, all this is imprinted on the video feed. So whatever you say here and now with me is quite relevant, because it's live and direct, and then is put into the archives of the past. So all I'm saying is we could look to, this is to Super, Pie Man and everybody, we could look to utilise the live time, which you do a lot of the time, but I want to improve it. We're doing continuous improvement. So just take that little bit of a notification from me with love, honour and respect. I'm just trying to make you the best, and what make our products and videos more beneficial for others that may want to watch. I don't need them on, there's no image here. Dave talks when he's asleep. If my mum was here, Super, yes, she would say that. There we go. So now we're on to having a little chat about my character. Nothing so forth yet about this is at 10:45 I'm reading, Super. Again, not personal, but man does speak. Yeah, I've got a lot to say. I'm an entertainer. I'm taking it down. Mikey, IKEE. Nomad. I want to give you devotion. And that's what I do. I do it in my way, with my character. I'm nearly on 400 and something videos. Obviously, I speak. DJ, microphone, master of ceremonies. Yes, but we have quiet times, yes. And I don't take it as a criticism. I will never assume anything about you lot and put that to you. I try to reside in the positive, loving, giving. We can have a crack. We can have a laugh. See what's happened to this video. It's a Bible decoding video, and what we're spending our time on. My point, I rest my case. This is why we need another platform as well. You're sure he does? It's all good. And I do not speak in my sleep anymore. I used to. Obviously, at times I will. I'm not in Greece, I'm in Hungary, I've explained that, so there you go. I've seen my mum, who lives on a continent far away, and now we've seen Anna's mum, and it's not long enough at all. Oh, go look at the back of man's head, the naked brain from the back, it's written in us. Oh, Quinn, I like that. We're going to look at Discord and everything. Yep, I need you to tell me. Leeds and Pie Man, any ideas? Video chat? All right, look at that. Groups and everything. I don't even understand it. Hardly use Discord more than 2 video chats, so I know minimal. All right, yeah. Let's go off them 2. Let's go. Quinn. Okay. So, okay then, we're done. Bosh, see you later. Much love. Ciao, bello.